So in this video, I'm going to describe how to introduce and format titles and sources in MLA when you write your paper. So, whenever you reference an outside source in your writing, you need to introduce the first and last name of the writer and the writer's title and the title of the work that you're referencing. This helps your reader understand something about the source before they get to like a quote or a paraphrase, something from that writer. It's a little different the first time you reference someone versus the second time and then later references. So the first time you introduce anyone's name in a college paper, state the first and last name and then the person's title or position in relationship to your paper. The second time, refer to that person by last name only. Remember not to call the person by their first name since you're not friends. And I'll show you just an example here. So the first time you reference somebody like Kevin Fudge, who is Director of Consumer Advocacy at American Student Assistance, you would spell out his whole title here and then his first and last name. The second time that you reference him, you would just use his last name, Fudge. So not Kevin, because you're not pals, but just Fudge. That's the professional way to introduce his title or his name on second reference. So now I'm going to talk a little bit more about formatting titles. So in general, capitalization, most words in titles should get capitalized. The exception is smaller words, words like the, and, to, and, in, etc. You also always need to capitalize the first word and the last word in a title. So here, Old Town Road, the song title, is all every word is capitalized. But when we get to the book title, Where the Crawdads Sing, the is lowercase because that's not considered an important word. And then we look at this title, Mental Moods, How to Train Your Brain to Think in New Ways. We haven't capitalized little words like to, and in. All right. The question also comes up, when do I use quotes around titles and when do I put titles into italics? So, in general, longer works go in italics, or that kind of slanty type, and shorter works go in quotation marks. So think, quotation marks are little. They go around little types of sources. Italics, on the other hand, are strong. They are for big sources. So, here's some examples. Sources that go in italics. These are larger sources that often contain smaller types of sources. So book titles, movie titles, album titles, play titles, newspaper names, and then magazine names. These all go in italics, and think how many of these hold smaller items. So book titles will sometimes have different chapters or stories. Albums will include different titles of songs. Newspapers will include articles. And magazines will include articles. So the things that go inside are often in quotation marks. So here are things that go in quotation marks. Poem titles, song titles, short story titles, article titles. A lot of the things I just mentioned would go inside these larger things that go in italics. All right. So I'm going to show how this all works when you put it together. So I'm just going to read through this and kind of show you what I'm doing here. So in his Boston Globe magazine piece, When Will We Admit That College Isn't the Only Path to Success?, Kevin Fudge, Director of Consumer Advocacy at American Student Assistance, argues that students finishing high school need more options for finding and training for high-paying jobs. Ooh, it's a mouthful, but see, we've got the name of the publication, the name of the article, we've got the Kevin Fudge's first and last name, we have his title, and then we have a little bit about what he's arguing. I want to show you another way to do this, and I think this actually works a little bit better. This is when we divide up all of that kind of technical information into two different sentences. I'd like to see you do this. So we're going to put the argument he makes right up front. Students finishing high school need more options for finding and training for high-paying jobs. And I'm going to just put this little signal phrase introducing Kevin Fudge. According to Kevin Fudge, who is Director of Consumer Advocacy at American Student Assistance. And then new sentence. Fudge makes his argument in Boston Globe magazine, his Boston Globe magazine piece, When Will We Admit That College Isn't the Only Path to Success? So I can put the information about where he placed his article in a whole different sentence. So don't be afraid to break up these sentences as you're introducing different people, different sources. All right, that's it for today. Thank you.